June 11, 2025. The world wakes up to a chilling sight. A 70,000-ton Chinese aircraft carrier, escorted by over 40 hypersonic missiles and nearly 30 fighter jets, roaring across the Pacific. Its destination? Guam, home to some of America's most vital military bases. But this isn't just another military drill. No, it's a very real glimpse of how quickly the balance of power in the Pacific could change, and just how fragile America's forward defense system really is. Just months earlier, U.S. carriers had obliterated China's coastal defenses, leaving over 15 major PLA bases in ruins. The psychological toll on Beijing was devastating, but China wasn't going to back down quietly. So they did something risky, something reckless. They deployed their flagship, the Shandong, almost 1,800 miles from home. Its mission? To wipe out Andersen Air Force Base on Guam. They aimed to prove to Washington and to their own people that China could strike America's front line, and that they could do it with devastating force. But what followed? A clash of technology, doctrine, and raw nerve, one that would change everything. As the Chinese war machines advanced, they thought they could undo the humiliation of the past. But soon they would realize that America's response would not just turn the tide, it would completely dismantle their bold gamble. It was 6:15 a.m. on June 11, 2025, when Andersen Air Force Base first noticed something unusual. Radar screens lit up like a Christmas tree. A Chinese carrier strike group, led by the Shandong, accompanied by 5 warships, was heading straight for Guam. And this wasn't a routine training exercise, no. This was personal. Just months earlier, the USS Gerald R. Ford and its carrier wing had shattered China's southeastern coast. In just 72 hours, over 15 major military bases were destroyed. More than 40 of China's prized J-16 and J-11 fighters lay in ruins. And the damage? Over $6 billion. But that wasn't the worst of it. The worst blow was psychological. The Chinese anti-access systems had failed miserably. The American carriers had destroyed their airfields and exposed China's naval air power as nothing more than a hollow threat. The damage to China's prestige? Unrecoverable. But Beijing wasn't just going to sit back and take it. They needed a win, badly. So they did the unthinkable. They sent their only operational carrier, the Shandong, nearly 100 miles from the Chinese mainland, heading straight for America's most crucial airbase in the Pacific. Their plan? To crater runways, destroy aircraft, and show the world that China could strike America at its doorstep. It was a desperate move, one that would either restore national pride or push China to the brink of disaster. By 6:27 a.m., the Shandong's flight deck erupted into action. 28 J-15 fighter jets, each armed with over 4,000 lbs of missiles and precision bombs, surged into the sky. They climbed to 25,000 feet, forming up in tight combat formations. At the same time, 2 Type 0 FEMAB destroyers launched 24 YJ-18B cruise missiles, hurtling toward Guam at Mach 3, skimming just 50 feet above the water. 3 more Type WRO-52D destroyers followed, launching 16 YJ-12 missiles designed to smash through hardened shelters. In just 8 minutes, over 40 missiles were barreling toward Guam, while the J-15s closed in on the base. Andersen had to brace itself. Over 150 aircraft were stationed there, including stealth F-35s and massive B-52 bombers, along with 12 million gallons of jet fuel. A strike here could cripple U.S. air operations for weeks. It was a massive gamble for China. $3 billion in assets, hundreds of naval aviators, and the honor of their entire military on the line. But the world was about to see what happened when American technology met Chinese audacity. As the missiles and fighter jets closed in, Guam's defenses sprang into action. Andersen Air Force Base wasn't just an airfield, it was the nerve center of a fortress spanning the Pacific. High above the base, E-2D Hawkeyes scanned the skies with AESA radar, feeding vital data to command centers and nearby Arleigh Burke-class destroyers. Within seconds, every Chinese missile and jet was tracked. Along Guam's coast, THAAD missiles locked onto the highest flying threats, calculating mid-course intercepts. Out at sea, USS John Finn and USS Ralph Johnson, armed with 96 vertical launch cells, activated their Aegis systems. They locked onto dozens of incoming missiles at once. And then, the first line of defense opened fire. SM-6 interceptors launched from the destroyers, each missile hitting Mach 3.5, designed to engage targets over 230 miles away. ESSM Block 2 missiles followed, streaking skyward at nearly Mach 4, targeting the missiles that slipped past the outer defenses. And as the Chinese missiles neared the base, the RIM-116 rolling airframe missiles fired, forming a web of destruction that shredded low-flying threats. But even then, a few Chinese missiles made it through, streaking toward Anderson. That's when the CIWS roared to life. 6-barreled Gatling guns spun into action, firing over 500 rounds per minute, creating a wall of fire that tore the missiles apart. The combined firepower of U.S. forces was unstoppable. The defenses were like a living organism, working in concert without a single misstep. By 7:12 a.m., China's bold first strike had been completely neutralized. But America wasn't done. With Guam's defenses intact, it was time for retaliation. Inside Anderson's hardened command bunkers, targeting data poured in from satellites, P-8 Poseidons, and MQ-25 drones. The strike matrix formed, locking onto the Chinese carrier strike group, its escorts and support ships. The order came through. Execute full-spectrum counterstrike. Neutralize the carrier. 2 Virginia-class nuclear submarines, lying 500 feet below the surface, launched Tomahawk Block 5 missiles, stealthy and low-flying, designed to evade Chinese radar. Meanwhile, Arleigh Burke-class destroyers to the west launched waves of Tomahawks, each missile splitting mid-flight, targeting separate ships. The Shandong's escorts tried to retaliate, but it was too late. The sheer volume of American firepower overwhelmed them. High above, EA-18G Growlers deployed their jamming pods, breaking the Chinese radar locks. And then, the real killing blow arrived. FA-18 Super Hornets and F-35Cs launched AGM-158 JASSM missiles, stealth cruise missiles designed to penetrate the Shandong's flight deck and detonate deep inside. By 7:28 a.m., the Shandong was a wreck. Explosions tore through its flight deck, igniting fuel and munitions below. Secondary explosions ripped through the carrier, sending debris flying into the sky. The ship was on fire, its crew scrambling for their lives. Over 800 sailors were now in the water, fighting for survival as the carrier burned. In the span of less than 30 minutes, China's prize Shandong was reduced to a smoldering wreck. 2 Type 0555 destroyers were sinking, their hulls shattered by the Tomahawks. The Pacific was now littered with wreckage, a graveyard of China's ambition. What did China learn? They learned a hard lesson about underestimating America's layered defenses, the precision of its strike capabilities, and the power of its combat networks. What was meant to be a bold move to restore national pride ended in disaster, a disaster that would be felt far beyond the battlefield. As the sun set over the Pacific, the wreckage of China's ambition lay at the bottom of the ocean. The Shandong, once a symbol of China's rise, was now a symbol of its humiliation. And the world had just witnessed America's unwavering power, precision, and resolve. For China, this wasn't just a military defeat. It was a national humiliation. And the message couldn't be clearer. Don't mess with America's frontline defenses. What do you think? Was China's move a genius gamble or a reckless misstep? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more. We'll be back with more stories from the front lines.